The 30 to 20. Gates with a goal!
From Hastings High School in Hastings, Minnesota, Valley Access Channels presents a playoff edition of high school girls basketball. Tonight it's the Section 4 4A semifinals as Stillwater looks to continue their postseason push. If they beat the Woodbury Royals, they will be one victory away from reaching the Class 4A state tournament. Greetings everyone, I'm Mike Peden, and joining me is a special guest, a graduate of Tartan High School, scored over 3,000 points, and graduated from Indiana University this past winter. Someone highly familiar with this section, Tia Albert. Tia, it's great to have your presence with us today on VAC TV.
Thank you, Mike. I'm really excited for this opportunity. I haven't seen much high school basketball since I've been home, so this is probably the perfect way to see it courtside and see the new section conference, because I think when I was back at Tartan, Hastings wasn't in our conference. It wasn't the Metro East. It was a suburban conference. So definitely excited to see these new up-and-coming players.
Indeed, and Tia had an excuse. You know, she was majoring in business management, and part of her plan for world domination, I'm sure that's
basically.
Yes. So Stillwater, they've stayed in the suburban East in spite of all the conference realignment since you played. And Stillwater having their strongest season since Willie Taylor took over this program 4 years ago, and a lot of that has to do with Sarah Scalia and Alexis Pratt. Scalia, 5th in the state in scoring, leads the state in three-point field goals with 92. 9 30-point games this year. Sarah Scalia, she's been fun to watch, and I guess watching her play kind of reminds me of you.
Oh, I mean, honestly, I would not know. I've seen her play a little bit. I do know she pulls from very, very deep. And so I'm excited to see that, especially in the Steph Curry age a little bit. You're starting to see players more and more get comfortable with shooting those threes and just being confident in it. It comes from their coaches as well.
And helping Sarah is Alexis Pratt, who has had a phenomenal freshman season, building on a solid 7th and 8th grade campaign at North St. Paul. Willie Taylor told us, one of the fastest players in the state.
Yeah.
You should see her track times, but she's also a very good basketball player. And I've mentioned in previous Stillwater broadcasts that watching Alexis also reminds me of you, because you have this diminutive guard, but she's not afraid to go up against taller defenders and find her way to the rim. And it's great to see someone like Alexis do as well as she has.
Right. As a small point guard, especially being one, throughout my whole career, you have to be fearless. You're going to be playing against players that are bigger, taller, stronger than you. And if you're not going in confident, you've already lost the battle before you even went in. So being a small player, you definitely have to be aggressive, first and foremost, and especially being the point guard, vocal. And so that's what I think you need, especially being a small point guard.
Stillwater swept Woodbury in the regular season series this year, but Woodbury did get a big win over Cretin to end the season. They edged St. Paul Central in the game the coaching staff thought was maybe a little too close, but as you know, when it comes to the playoffs, all that matters is the W. And their do-everything player is Rachel Hakes. Tia, you probably have some experience going from conference to section play and facing a team a third time. For Woodbury, what is it going to take to get that goose egg off the win column against Stillwater in this series?
Well, in a sense, Mike, they have to come in mad. Regular season, you played this team twice, and they swept you. And so in the basketball world, that's unacceptable. And now you get a chance to play them a third time. A lot of teams don't get to play someone that swept them in the regular season once again. So they have to come in ready to go from the jump. And that's what I think it's going to take to beat the Stillwater team.
We'll have the starting lineups in a moment. This is high school girls basketball on VAC TV. The starters are being announced as we speak here at Hastings High School. And Tia, we're going to have to be on our best behavior because we are situated directly behind the Woodbury bench.
Oh, for sure. We definitely don't want any problems with anybody.
And Tia and I are a pretty rambunctious duo.
I think more so me than you, but we'll keep it
I
at
don't
that.
know. Well, I guess it depends on the matchup.
Right.
On the basketball court, you would take me to school, but at Wheel of Fortune, something like.
I'm definitely a completely different person than I am on the court and off the court.
That much was certain. I'll never forget the video of you shouting at the top of your lungs at Indiana, and I'm just wondering, how do your vocal cords stay intact?
Honestly, I mean, it's all a part of the game. You kind of just charge it to that. When you're in the game and you're watching it, it's two different levels of passion. When I'm watching the game, it's more apprehension. Like, I'm nervous. Super Bowl game, for instance, the Eagles, I'm a big fan of the Eagles. I was really, really, really nervous. But when we scored, I still cheered accordingly. On the court, it's all business. There's no friends being made. It's just playing.
Can I find any gray hairs on you after Super Bowl 52?
No, I'm not that old, Mike.
I know the feeling. And as the starters are completed, let's take a look at the starting five for both teams. For the Woodbury Royals, the 3 seed, it's Cassidy Mackey, number 10, the senior. Rachel Hakes, number 12, the senior. Carly West, number 14, the sophomore. Lexi Paulson, number 24, the sophomore. And Salapi Amusane, number 44, the junior. She goes by Solo. Stillwater, Sarah Scalia will get the start, number 14, the junior. Alexis Pratt, number 22, the freshman. Mary Foltz starting in place of Rachel Hull today, number 25, the sophomore. Grace Cody, number 31, the sophomore. She's come on strong over the last few games. And Liz Ogren, number 42, the senior. Stillwater lost last year in their section quarterfinal, so this is uncharted territory for the Ponies. But Willie Taylor, not uncharted territory for him, and if there's anyone who can help this uncharted team navigate through this type of terrain, it's Willie Taylor. 2 state tournament titles at St. Paul Central.
Definitely. Willie's a great, great coach. During my playing career, I played against Willie Taylor a few times, not only on the basketball court, but in track as well. So we never really got enough of each other. But I have nothing but respect for him.
You could say friendly rivals. I think one of many you've developed along your athletic career.
Definitely.
Someone you hated to coach against, and we're going to have a do-over. This is history in the making. A do-over in section basketball.
On the opening tip, you don't see that too often, that's for sure.
Okay, we're not going to have a do-over because the tip-off did go out of bounds. So Stillwater won the tip. They will get the first possession. They're wearing the red, Woodbury wearing the white. Mike Beaton and Tia Elbert.
I'm really excited for this basketball game. As you said, Stillwater and Woodbury have played twice this year already, and Stillwater has swept Woodbury. So it's hard to beat a team 3 times. What do you think, Mike?
It is and it isn't, but as we've seen, there have already been upsets today, so Stillwater cannot look past this team. As Sarah Scalia, she's doubled up. They expect a lot of double teams coming her way whenever she gets a touch.
Definitely.
Pratt sees a lane, drives, off the heel, rebound goes to Grace Cody. Cody with the bounce pass to Ogren. And now Pratt has it.
Defensively, Woodbury looks really strong right now. They kind of had a lapse right there without getting the rebound, but they do look like they're ready to play.
Pratt banks the long 2-pointer, as coaches will tell you, the worst shot in basketball unless it goes in.
Exactly.
Woodbury, kind of an up and down year. They lost a lot of seniors a year ago. Mary Foltz will be called for the foul on Carly West. Cece Keeger, Ellie Krybeck, just a couple of the many seniors. Cam Beanboss, another one.
Right.
So Woodbury having to find a lot of new leadership. Rachel Hakes has done just that, the do-everything player. You'll often see her at games scouting. Folks have called her the coach on the floor for the Royals.
Right. Losing senior leadership is always tough for any team, no matter what level that you play at. Especially having seniors that kind of have been there before. They've done it for the last 4 or 5 years in high school basketball. It's very important to have that leadership. And when you need to find that new leadership, you definitely need someone who's very vocal and accountable.
Carly West split at the free throw line for the Royals. Pratt drew the foul. Maybe a bailout, but that's what hustle does for you.
Alexis Pratt has been all over the floor, especially on offensive end, thus far in this game. She's being very aggressive, getting to the line early on, which is a good sign for Stillwater.
She draws a lot of contact just because of the way she plays. Goes full steam ahead, full speed ahead. Scored 22 and 17 respectively in the 2 regular season games against the Royals, and again, just a phenomenal freshman season. The fastest player in her class to reach 1,000 points.
That's an amazing feat. As someone who scored a lot of points, I'll tell you, it's not an easy thing to do, especially that young. So kudos to her.
Tia over here scored over 3,000 and once scored 55 in a game. So
those are the days,
is not
right?
just any old. This is not just any old player. This is a bona fide star at Tartan. Rachel Hakes drives and scores, and we're even at 3.
That was a great take by Rachel Hakes. Put her nose down, went straight to the basket, and put it in.
Dead ball rebound to the Royals.
Mike, as expected, Woodbury is coming out rearing to go. I mean, they did lose to Stillwater twice during the season, and so it definitely looks like they've came ready to play.
It's all about execution when you face a team for a 3rd time.
And learning from your mistakes, that's for sure.
Indeed, I spoke with Willie Taylor before this
Wow.
game. Rachel Hakes drives and scores again. On the scouting report, folks will tell you she can win games for Woodbury by herself. Sounds like someone I know.
With moves like that, I can see why.
Scalia for 3. Off the heel. Now, Sarah Scalia can knock down 3-pointers. She once hit 9 in a game in a big win over Cretin-Durham Hall just a couple weeks ago. Carly West too strong on the drive. Hussein fouled on the rebound. 5-3 our score in favor of the Royals. Winner will play here on Thursday. If Stillwater wins, Valley Access Channels will be here for that game. And they'll face the winner of Cretin-Durham Hall and Tartan. Another foul. Mary Foltz having a tough time of it so far.
Woodbury's doing a really good job of trying to get to the basket and get those easy points at the free throw line. Free throws are really important, and to get those early on, it could really help them towards the end of the game.
Carly West back at the line. She split her first time up. Scored 6 points in Woodbury's section quarterfinal win over St. Paul Central. A team that will be going through some changes as Marta Wallen decided to step down. St. Paul Central had a really rough season this year, lost a lot of players, and the culture not what it used to be when Willie Taylor was there.
For sure. Usually when coaching changes happen, it's hard to grasp that, especially in Willie Taylor's era, the level of winning and the level of play that they had. And so that's really a tough act to follow. So any coach that follows Willie Taylor at St. Paul Central is going to have a tough time.
Hussein misses the mid-range J. Rebound Grace Cody. Stillwater has yet to find the 3-point stroke. That was a big key to their success in the wins over Cretin-Durham Hall, St. Francis to end the regular season, and in the section quarterfinal win over Eastridge. If Stillwater can knock down their threes, they are tough to stop. Hussein, that goes off the heel, and the rebound goes to Foltz. If Stillwater can't hit their threes, they could run into trouble. Scalia drives, short on the runner. Goes up and gets the acrobatic layup.
That is a great finish. She played right through the contact, went right up and finished the basket.
Well, you know, Scalia, doesn't matter if she's double or triple teamed, she will go for it.
That's the type of attitude that you have to have.
Well, that's
fearless.
That's why she went up to 5th in the state in scoring this year. Bevy of 30-point games. Already holds the school record for most career points at Stillwater.
Wow.
And she still has another year. Alexis Pratt might give her a run when she becomes a senior, but...
She still has 3 years left. That's crazy.
Right. Well, and not all of those points counted for Stillwater. She played at North St. Paul her 7th and 8th grade year. But Sarah Scalia, you know, not a lot of history here at Stillwater, but it's cool to be witnessing some of that here in the making. And, you know, if a school doesn't have much history, all that means is that
you get to make history.
Right, the door's open for the taking. Records are made to be broken, right?
Not only that,
Yes.
Great basket. But not only that, Mike, you make history, and it's hard to break history.
I'll be surprised if anyone makes a run at your school record at Tartan.
I'm going to be honest. I hope no one does, but it would be kind of cool to see in my lifetime.
So you're
if
like
someone
Eric
can
Dickerson
break that.
then. Eric Dickerson, he doesn't want anyone breaking a single season rushing record. Scalia, deep three. It's
Whoa! She didn't waste any time putting that one up, Mike.
She will not waste any time. You cannot leave her alone anywhere from 30 feet in.
I don't even think it touched the rim.
It didn't. That was pure. And Stillwater has scored 7 in a row. They lead 10-6. West. That's going to be a foul and 1. Carly West showing her assertiveness early.
You obviously don't want to trade bucket for bucket with a team like Stillwater, but you definitely don't want them to go on a run. That was a perfect way to end the 7-0 run by Woodbury, getting to the basket and getting to the foul line.
Carly West in the 2 regular season meetings scored 7 and 10 points, so averaging 8.5 against the Stillwater team. And she completes the 3-point play to make it 10-9. Stillwater is playing shorthanded. They lost a couple of guards this season due to injury, Megan Lampright and Tori Shute. Tori was one of their better scorers. Grace Cody has since taken her place. And Rachel Houle came in late today, so we'll see if she gets any playing time. Didn't get any update, and that's a carrying violation on Pratt.
It's good to see that they still call the carrying call in high school because I can count on one hand how many times they called that in college.
It's high school. They call carrying, they call traveling, all the things that they don't call at the bigger levels.
Exactly.
On the floor for the Royals, number 30, Lizzie Dodge. And there is Lexi Paulson. Cassidy Mackey has it on the right wing. Sees a lane, goes for it. Ruggers with the block, and the ball ends up in the hands of Delaney Wagner, number 30. Scalia under pressure. Mackey, clear lane to the basket. And those are the easiest 2 points she'll probably get this entire game.
We're sitting right behind Woodbury's bench, and they have a ton of energy right now, Mike. And that's exactly what Woodbury's going to need to win this game.
They might pick up some more energy.
Great move!
Yeah! They're really jumping up and down now.
They're going nuts right now, and I'm going nuts too. That was a great move, Mike. That was really a high-level move. Sort of a Euro step, pull the ball right over the defender, and finish the basket through the contact.
So Woodbury answering with a 7-0 run of their own. Lexi Paulson looking to make it 8-0. Scored 6 in the win over Central. Cannot complete the 3-point play. Woodbury 3 of 6 from the free throw line. 3 on the way. That does not fall. And the rebound goes to Amu Singh. And I have to imagine beating Cretin to end the regular season, even though the Raiders had locked up the conference title by then, gave them a big boost of confidence.
Oh, for sure. Anytime you beat a team like that, especially that's at the top of the conference, that does nothing but build morale for your team, especially heading into March. We're 3 days into March. We all know how crazy March Madness can get. It doesn't stop at the high school level.
Amu Singh with the long 2. And here's how crazy March has already been at the high school level. In other section semifinal play today, as Alexis Pratt completes the runner. Park Center knocked off Centennial. And I think delay of game warning. We're going to get a substitution in for West. So Centennial, a top 10 team, winners of the Northwest Suburban Conference, lost to Park Center in overtime today for beating a 1. And the biggest surprise, Minneapolis South defeating Wayzata. Wayzata thought to be a team that could take on Hopkins this year and end their supremacy, at least for the moment, in Section 6. Minneapolis South sent them packing.
Well, that's exactly what March is all about. Once you have that last regular season game, there's a new season. You're 0-0, 0-0. You don't have any wins, you don't have any losses, so it's best to take advantage of that. And just anything that happened during the season, whether it was good or bad, it doesn't mean anything at that point.
Well, and to bring up an example, I don't know if these students followed it as Bruggers misses a three-pointer. The Marshall-Waseca game that became controversial because of the way Marshall played. Waseca won 17-4. Marshall played a stall ball and basically iced the game away for Waseca the way that game was going. As Hussein hits the turnaround, Royals continue to build their lead. They're up by 5.
And just to make a brief comment on the Marshall-Waseca game, the score being 17-4, when you told me that score, I was kind of confused because I wasn't sure if it was a basketball game or not. But I think that's why it's very important to have a shot clock in Minnesota. Not only does it prepare you for the next level, but it's the way the game should be played.
Traveling violation on Allison Benning. Wisconsin will be adding a shot clock for the 2019-2020 season. But even without the shot clock, what drew swift retribution was how Marshall appeared to disrespect the game, because you effectively told your players, we can't hang with Waseca, right, instead of, like you said, throw the rankings, throw the seeds, throw that all out the window, focus on your game plan and execute. And look what happened. We've got 2 big upsets today.
Exactly. And I mean, I can understand why people felt that way. It is kind of disrespectful towards the game. And I mean, as I was telling you earlier, when you go into these games, you don't want to play to not lose. If you play to not lose, you've already lost the battle before you even enter it.
And Marshall, it wasn't like they were completely overmatched or outmatched. They were an 18-8 team in the regular season. Got a big one over Hill Murray on the road in overtime. And the Stillwater team, it hasn't always been easy, but they had a rough December and came on strong in January and February, won a lot of quality games. Cretin-Durham Hall, St. Francis.
And that's exactly when you want to be playing well. Getting
a split with Roseville, who knocked off Champlain Park today. A 3 beating the 2 in Section 5. So we're going to have an underdog card in the Section 5 championship. And the 3-pointers are not falling for the Ponies right now. That will have to change if they wish to move on to the section final.
If those threes don't fall for Stillwater, they're going to have to try to get inside a little bit. Alexis Pratt was doing a very good job early on of getting to the basket, getting to the free throw line. They need to get back to that.
9:02 left. And speaking of respect to the game, what did you make of the Dallas Mavericks situation? Because if I remember correctly, the Mavs are your team.
Can you inform me on that?
Well, they were accused of tanking. Then Mark Cuban got fined for making those kinds of remarks on a podcast.
When you're at that level, even at any level, there's a certain level of respect that you have to have for the game. There's a certain level of respect that you have to have for yourself. And especially being someone with as high status.
Hussein has no respect for Stillwater. She just keeps driving and scoring.
She's a really good player. This is my first time seeing her play, and she has good size. She's big. She can kind of shoot the ball a little bit too, which is a good sign.
Allison Benning hits the baseline, Jay, and that's going to be key for the Ponies if threes aren't falling, getting someone. We know Pratt and Scalia can score, but they need that third player to get involved to keep Stillwater in this. West, too strong. A change for Woodbury. There was blood on the jersey of Rachel Hake, so she switched to the backup. As a result, she's now wearing number 21.
21, that's a lucky number.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That was your homage to Kevin Garnett, right?
Kevin Garnett, all the great players that wore the number 21. I wouldn't be surprised if she came out here and just absolutely dominated.
All the great players? What about Maya Moore? Michael Jordan?
Well, they don't have 21, but most people that wear 21, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure it's a scientific fact. If you wear the number 21, you're automatically great.
I don't know. Ask Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Jordan, Steph
I'm not
Curry.
saying that those numbers aren't great.
You realize I could go on forever.
You could.
Becky Hammond, your idol?
You could.
Your favorite player, Dirk Nowitzki?
But it's something about that 21. If I must say so myself.
We'd like to invite you to this broadcast about the number 21. For those who thought you were watching a basketball game, there's another 21 for Stillwater. Amber Scalia missing the three-pointer. Look out!
Whoa. Great hustle by both teams. I mean, Obviously, both teams understand what's at stake here, and they don't want to waste any time on the court. They're playing their hearts out right now.
For those not in the know, Tia Elbert wore the number 21 in high school and in college. It's also
Only
part
for
of,
a year.
Oh, that's right. Then you switched to 22.
The year that I did wear 21, though, I had a good season.
Allison Benning knocks down another baseline J. And Tia also has the number 21 in her Twitter handle.
Of course. I've been 21 for as long as I remember. When you get to college, things get weird because some people already have that number before you get there.
Benning with the block. Benning giving this team a much-needed boost.
Wow.
Well, you know Sarah's going to shoot from there.
A lot of people would have a problem with that shot. I really don't have a problem with that. I know Stillwater hasn't been hitting their threes, but if you want anyone shooting a three for Stillwater, it would be Sarah Scalia.
As the saying goes in basketball, the only way to get out of a funk is to keep shooting.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter how many times you miss. Jump ball, Woodbury with the arrow, but since Benning has gotten in there, she's hit a couple baseline J's, got the block, and really frustrating Woodbury defensively.
Oh, for sure. If you can make an impact on the defensive end, that kind of changes the tide of the whole game. Defense is probably the most important part, especially if you have the other team flustered.
And as you know, with playoff basketball, we've got a long way to go, 6:36 to be precise.
Basketball is a game of runs.
And Stillwater, we know they can come up with some big second halves. So, long way to go here. And I've often noted this, if you can confirm or not confirm, when you get to the semifinal round in most sections outside of the 4-5, that's when every game becomes competitive.
It's very competitive. I just remember back when I played, we were in the semifinals versus Central. Willie Taylor was actually the coach. And that was probably one of the most competitive games, not only that I've played, but I'm sure for the people watching, it was very competitive, very high stake. There was a lot going on in that game as well. It was very aggressive. But it was probably one of the more fun games that I've played in.
Hussein drives, no good. West is there for the O-board, no putback. And the rebound goes to Benning. Now Sarah Scalia has been hounded every time she touches the ball. Hakes did a good job of her in the last possession. Tries to work off a screen, no good. Benning, top of the key. That's off the mark. Stillwater still cannot hit those threes. Hakes, will she go coast to coast? Yes.
I don't even think she went coast to coast on that. She went right down the middle of the floor and no one stopped her.
She went coast to coast, just nobody put up a roadblock, and Willie Taylor's going to call a timeout with 5:35 left. Like we said, when you get to the semifinals, most of the time you 1 and 8s, 2 and 7s, you kind of know it's going to go. But every team in the semifinal round, especially in 4A, is going to give you a fight, and you got to be ready to play.
I mean, as they should. No one wants their season to end early. The ultimate goal is not only to go to the state tournament, but to win the state tournament.
Well, there was a replay of Rachel Hakes celebrating. I think we were trying to get that last coast-to-coast drive of hers, but you get the idea. Woodbury in a roll right now. And you mentioned going up against Central in that section semifinal. I don't know if this will bring up a sore spot, but an opponent of yours, Sade Chapman, who's finishing her career at Bowie State, one of her favorite moments of her career was blocking the living daylights out of your shot. She didn't say living daylights.
Really? That's funny. I mean, if I make someone's top highlight moment, that says something about me as a player. If I do recall that, though, I think I came right back down, split the defense, spin move, and one finish, if I must say so.
You got your comeuppance. That's going to be a traveling violation on Grace Cody. And Stillwater, that's not what you want on an ATO play.
Definitely. And even going back to that moment, right after that N1, I got a technical foul for that because of my celebration.
You didn't have to pay a fine, did you?
No. If I did have to pay the fine, I would still be paying that off right now because I do not have the money to be paying anything.
Woodbury's roll continues. The high-low play to Salapi Amusain. They call her solo. And the Royals with their largest lead of the game at 9. Benning.
Great take.
Oh, missed it. You got to make those bunnies.
I think she got a little too excited there, Mike.
And that happens, and then the double whammy, the foul on Pratt, still Woodbury in the bonus.
Obviously, basketball is a game of runs, but Stillwater really needs to calm down here. We're in the last 5 minutes of the first half. This is going to be really important. You want to finish the first half out strong so that you come out that way as well.
And that means free throws for Rachel Hakes. Misses the front end, so an empty possession. Rachel Houle on the floor for the Ponies. 3 on the way, that's short. Hakes again, another drive.
Hakes is absolutely trying to take over this game, as she should. Being the leader on Woodbury, it's important to have your leaders playing great, being vocal, having a lot of energy, and that's exactly what she's doing right now.
Woodbury's lead grows to 11. Cody fakes and floats it in.
I'm surprised she didn't get the end one over there. The Woodbury player was all over her.
Willie Taylor mentioned to me that how the officials call this game might influence what happens, and that's not to say he has no confidence in the officiating, but you get some crews that call it tight, some call it loose, and that can impact how you approach a game.
Oh, definitely. I would prefer. I think every game should be called loose. You definitely want to see players make plays.
You want the players to decide it.
Exactly. You want to see them make plays. I mean, it's March Madness. Players have to step up, make plays. There's no bailouts.
And you'll get that, especially in playoffs. The higher you go, officials, unless they have to, they try to respect that.
Right.
Let the players decide it. Pratt, step back. Can't get it off the heel. Last touch by Woodbury. Woodbury has some state tournament hardware. If you go way back, won the 4A state championship in 2003 under head coach Dave Preller. Preller now involved with the AAU organization.
Wow.
Rachel Hakes.
I think you're going to be saying that name a lot more this game, Mike, so get used to it.
She's a senior, and as we said, can win games by herself. Looking to do just that. An offensive foul on Scalia. She sent Carly West to the floor. Stillwater in danger of unraveling here.
They're definitely going to need to stop the bleeding here sometime soon. We don't want to wait till halftime, that's for sure. It's going to be important. Wow. And the bleeding does not stop.
Lexi Paulson with the long deuce. The lead is now 13. Well, Willie didn't like the team's energy in the win over Eastridge. They did win by 27, but he felt the Raptors dominated them on the boards. What helped the Ponies was a plus 24 turnover margin. But he didn't like the lack of intensity on the boards, and most coaches, they're always worried about something, but he thought Stillwater could have had a better opening, and again, they haven't been to this level in a long time, so playing at a neutral site, they've been at home the last 3 games. I don't know if that's playing into their psyche, but when you get to this level, going to those neutral courts, it can take a while to adjust.
Definitely.
Cody for 3.
And with Willie Taylor's experience, if he says that they didn't come out with a lot of energy, even though they won by 28 points, then his team did not come out with a lot of energy.
Cool for 3. And Stillwater still can't buy a basket behind the arc.
You live and die by the 3. That's why it's important to have a balanced game.
Just 1 3-pointer, and that came from Scalia. West, the kick out. And Lizzie Dodge missed that one by a couple of inches.
It happens.
Yes.
Happens to the best of us.
Indeed, and that's a foul on Hakes. Woodbury had 3 to give, so little consequence here. Did you ever have any embarrassing moments when you were at Tart?
You'll always have embarrassing moments. Air balls, tripping over your own 2 feet, tripping over lines on the floor. It doesn't stop either.
You didn't score on your opponent's basket, did you, or in your own basket?
Never.
No, okay,
never,
at least that didn't happen. Scalia, step back. Doink.
It's right on target. They just don't seem to be going in for Sarah Scalia today.
Hey, stutter step, no good. And then a foul underneath. Well, you're right, Scalia not giving up, and when you're a scorer, that's what you're going to do. You probably can confirm that through experience.
For sure. Willie Taylor also gives her the confidence, too. I'm quite sure he does not want her to stop shooting. I don't think he's ever going to tell her to stop shooting because you definitely don't want to get in a shooter's head.
Right, and then if you...
Great take.
Well, there's the drive there, and that's one way for Scalia to score. And if you take yourself out of the game, you make it that much easier for your opponent.
Just from experience, I've done that myself. I feel like I'm not hitting a few shots, and I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't shoot anymore. And it just only gets worse from there. You have to stay confident.
Rachel Hull gets the rebound. Another offensive rebound for the Ponies. Scramble for the ball, and Willie Taylor gets the timeout call in. Ponies have 3 remaining. 44.2 left on the clock. And going to what you said, one example that comes to mind, the 2010 NBA Finals, Kobe Bryant, 6 of 24, but he made a bunch of free throws. The Lakers beat the Celtics.
Right.
Michael Jordan, 98 NBA Finals. He didn't have the most efficient game of his career, but he hit the game winner. Nobody cares about how many he missed because he got the game winner.
Exactly. This is what I say. Shoot or shoot. And that there's nothing else to say about it. Shoot or shoot.
And no matter what happens, you will always have, as part of your legacy, the knowledge that you taught Nia Holly how to shoot a layup.
Every time you tell me that story, I'm always in shock because I don't even remember that at all.
Nia does.
Yeah, which is amazing because that just goes to show that people that you look up to, everything that they do for you or say to you, they will always remember. And so that's why I always tell young players, like take the time to spend that time with the players that look up to you because they're never going to forget it. You may not even realize what you're doing for them. You might be doing something really small, but it means the world to them.
And Stillwater starting to get after it on the offensive side of the glass. And as a result, Grace Cody's getting to the line. And this hustle would be what Stillwater needs just to get some momentum going into halftime intermission.
They cut it to 9, which is good. Definitely don't want to go into halftime trailing by double digits. If they can build off this in the last 30 seconds of this half, that would be even better.
Well, they're trailing by 13, and even just getting a couple of possessions where you come up with points.
Right.
Stillwater pressing. Woodbury able to break it.
Travel.
And that's a walk. So the Ponies will have 21.6.
Stillwater has picked up the pressure a little bit.
And that's a staple of Willie Taylor teams, whether he was at Mounds View, St. Paul Central, for all those years winning 2 state titles there, or here at Stillwater. And with Alexis Pratt, he's got more speed to execute those trap plays. Stillwater will hold for the final shot. They'll try to cut into this 9-point deficit. Well, I guess they're not going to wait. Well, Sarah Scalia won't. Amber was there. Deep 3 for Pratt.
Oh,
no good.
I thought that one was going in.
I did too. And that will bring the first half to an end. That was close. Woodbury, though, up 31-22. A strong first half for Rachel Hakes. 12 points. Amusane with 8. Stillwater, if they can't get those threes to fall, they're going to have to get more creative if they want to advance into the section final on Thursday.
For sure. Stillwater, like I told you at the beginning of this game, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, and Woodbury definitely knows that. That's why they've come out rearing to go. They've been playing really hard defensively and offensively, getting to the line. If Woodbury keeps this up, they can break that streak of Stillwater beating them for this season. And Stillwater's going to have to pick it up.
We'll come back with first half stats and analysis. This is high school girls basketball, the Section 4 4A semifinals. Woodbury leads Stillwater 31-22.
You don't like that one?
No.
Oh, but
You do it.
I look cute.
No, I don't look good in that one.
Okay, let's try this one.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I need a filter on that.
Yeah.
Put a filter on
Try and. Aw,
that's
I like that one. Who should we
Okay.
send it to?
that. Okay, get in our snap.
Oh, okay, wait.
We're getting our snap.
Okay.
Okay,
Are you
ready?
in? Are you in? Okay, ready.
Wait,
Get in the snap. Come on.
Yeah.
OMG. Did you guys see Kate's tweet? That is so about Mr. Parker.
Yeah. Don't ever let a boy dull your shine, pretty flower girl. I mean, how basic. Yes.
OMG, she just snapped me.
Mike Beaton and Tia Elbert with you. Woodbury leading Stillwater 31-22. It might seem surprising considering the season series, but as you said, Tia, the third matchup can be the trickiest of all because at this point, everyone knows everyone. It all comes down to execution, and right now, Rachel Hakes is outplaying everybody on Stillwater's end.
Definitely, Mike. There's a reason that they say that the third time is a charm. From my experience, I know just how hard it is to beat a team 3 times in one season, especially with the other team that's on the losing end of that. They're going to come ready to play. They're almost salivating at the mouth with the opportunity to be able to play the team that swept them during the regular season, and Woodbury is not wasting this opportunity at all. They came out ready to play. Defensively, they've been really aggressive. Offensively, getting to the basket and getting to the free throw line.
And we'll show you some first half highlights, but for Stillwater, just one three-pointer. That came from Scalia. Everything else has been bricks. How do you adjust in the second half to generate some offense? Because they're going to have to do a lot better than 22 points.
Definitely. Well, the easiest way to do that is to get to the line. It's hard when you don't see your shot falling much as a shooter, but the only thing that I suggest is to keep shooting. You have the green light by your coach and Willie Taylor, so Sarah Scalia, also being the leader on this Stillwater team, has to keep shooting, keep her energy up. Things may not be going as well as she wants it to, but just making sure that she holds herself accountable for not only herself but her team. And just getting to the basket. You can't live and die by the 3.
And for Woodbury, Rachel Hakes, strong first half. Amos Hussein at 8 points, showed a lot of grit down low. What do you do if you're Woodbury to keep this up, as Zaria Chevre of Tartan gives me a shout out?
Well, you definitely have to put your foot on the gas pedal, keep it on the gas pedal, and keep playing hard. It's going to be really important for Woodbury to come out this half strong, just like they did at the beginning of the game. Because one of the hardest things to do in the game of basketball is to maintain, especially for 36 minutes. I was about to say 40 minutes because that's what I'm used to, but to maintain for 36 minutes, yeah.
We'll give you a pass. And speaking of the friendly rivalry, as we look at some more highlights here, you didn't see this on camera, but as Zaria Chevre found Carly West, she came back out, the two shared a quick hello. So in this sport, everyone knows everyone, and so even your rivals,
Right.
you and Willie Taylor, for example, even your rivals can become buddies. So I'm sure Stillwater and Tartan are buddies off the court, but right now they're trying to get through because the winner will be one victory away from the state tournament, and that offers plenty of motivation.
Oh, always. It's March, like I told you, March Madness. You have to come ready to play. Your record is 0-0.
So we'll find out who moves on to the finals when we come back. This is high school girls basketball on VAC TV.
I'm always the first one up. I'm always up for a challenge. I'll overcome any obstacle. I don't believe in limits. I refuse to be average.
Second half about to start. Stillwater and Woodbury. Mike Peden and the legend from Tartan, Tia Elberts, who scored about 3,000 more points than I ever would. Sarah Scalia looking to add to her total, and she'll do just that off of the inbound. Stillwater bringing on the pressure, and it's paying dividends here. The Ponies cut the deficit to 7.
Just in that first play of the second half, you can kind of get a little bit of what Willie Taylor might have been telling Stillwater at halftime.
Carly West with the answer, but Let's see if Stillwater turns things around.
Just in this 30 seconds of play, you can kind of tell that these teams understand that they're 18 minutes away from possibly playing their last 18 minutes of this season.
Cody with the turnover. West, no good. And jump ball, Stillwater had the arrow. The winner will take on the victor of Cretin-Durham Hall and Tartan. And again, if Stillwater wins, we'll be back here on Thursday to cover it for you on Valley Access channels. If not, I guess I'll just have to
watch from home.
Yes. And we have an illegal screen on Mary Foltz. And if you're Stillwater, what you can't afford right now, sloppy turnovers.
For sure, especially starting off the second half. 18 minutes may seem like a lot, but it's really not that much time, especially in the grand scheme of things. You can't afford to make too many errors.
No, you cannot. But a long way to go. Hussein, long two, rattles out. Rebound Scalia. And Pratt has the ball. He's going to drive and draw the foul. And that was
hard foul.
That was missing somewhat in the first half. We know Pratt can drive and pretty much outspeeds everybody with the exception of maybe Sydney Jackson at Cretin-Durham Hall.
Well, that's what she started off the game doing, and so it's important for her to get back to that because she got to the line a couple of times in the first half.
And when she attacks the basket, that's often the result. Scalia for three. No good. And the rebound to number 24, Lexi Paulson.
Great pass.
Carly West, I should say, Hussein will shoot two.
Definitely a heads-up play by Rachel Higgs. She wanted to attack. I could see it in her eyes. She wanted to score that, but then she saw the defense collapse and dumped it right off to her counterpart.
That's what we call high IQ.
Definitely.
Hussein at the line. In the regular season meetings with Stillwater, she had 13 in the first meeting and 14 in the second. So Hussein has been pretty solid against this Stillwater team. Makes both here. Could we see another upset? I guess 3-2, the way these two teams are, maybe not a huge upset, but when you consider the regular season series, this will be a huge win for the Royals.
Woodbury's defensive intensity, I love it right now. They're up in your face, denying the ball. Stillwater's not getting any looks, and you can see that right there with the block by Solo.
If Han Solo needs a partner in that upcoming Star Wars movie, we might have one for you. Cody.
Great
floater. Well, that's a good way to respond after getting blocked.
You got to get some payback, like I told you earlier.
Yes. I think there's always a game of one-upsmanship in basketball, isn't there?
In my game, that's what it's all about.
That's a traveling violation. Woodbury thought it was going the other way. Woodbury led by Megan Kirchenwitz in her fourth season. Woodbury, their games get featured frequently on PrepSpotlight.tv. And they've had their share of memorable battles throughout the year. Low arcing three. There was a double overtime loss to Roseville, for example. And the Suburban East Conference as a whole is a tough one. Wagner. Another missed three ball. And that's going to be a jump. Woodbury with the arrow.
With each second that goes off on this clock, you can feel the tension start to build between these two teams. Both teams are playing really hard. The energy is very high level. And not only on the floor, you can feel it in the gym as well, fans alike. As they watch on, trying to watch their teams come out in victory. And as I'm talking, it looks like, I'm not sure if Solo's maybe having a cramp.
being examined by Angie Heldstaff, the assistant coach at Woodbury. Rachel Hakes taking it to the rim.
And Woodbury's bench is making sure everybody knows about it, as they should.
I'm Rachel Hakes, and I get buckets. Well, she had some good role models to draw from. CeCe Keeker, 1,000-point score. Rachel Hakes crossed 1,500 earlier this season.
I think Rachel Hakes was feeling herself a little bit too on that free throw. She kind of held the shooting form up there for a little bit. I love it.
Scalia gets some space. Can't get that shot to fall. Pratt. No good. Woodbury Stillwater with the arrow, and things getting a little heated, yes. Well, in this game, you get variance of three-pointers, and so you wondered when Stillwater would be due for a rougher night from the three-point line, but this is not when you want it.
And this is definitely something to keep an eye on. We have Amuse right in front of us. She was getting a little bit of treatment from her trainer. She looks to be in a lot of pain. And so this is one of the players that's been playing very well this game. She offers a little bit of size to Woodbury, so that's just something to watch out for.
Scalia at the line. The foul was charged to Rachel Hakes. That is her third. So something to keep an eye on as we get closer to crunch time. The question for Stillwater, do they have a run in them? Mackey was open for a minute. Woodbury opts to reset. Poole stayed straight up. Ball is loose, picked up by Scalia. And Hakes, you saw her backpedal right away. Nothing going right for Scalia, at least in terms of three-point shooting. High, low.
She's left wide open. I'm not sure if there was miscommunication now on Stillwater's part, but Scalia and Pratt were up, trapping up at the top, and they left someone down low wide open. No one within 5 feet of her.
The same thing happened against Eastridge when Scalia came up to trap. That left Madeline Slavin wide open. You could have finished the space Eastridge had, even though Eastridge got blown out. That was a sequence you mark in your notebook, if you will. And the same thing happened here. Now, Woodbury, of course, wasn't at the game because they were playing against Central, but I think they're stepping it up a notch after barely beating a Central team that's been in disarray, honestly, this season. I think they felt they could have done better. I think most coaches would say they could have done better. Stillwater in a bit of a bind. They're down by 12. Not a lot of momentum. They're having some trouble finding an opening here. As Wagner drives, Amu Singh, she might be in pain, but
Willie Taylor is not happy about that. He almost ran out of the gym.
And then Woodbury throws it away. Willie Taylor, he's a frank character. He'll tell you what he's thinking, good or bad. He doesn't have a filter in that sense.
As a coach, though, you can't help but appreciate that. I feel like especially in this age where the truth hurts a lot and sometimes people don't want to hear it. And it's important for people to hear the truth nowadays, especially in youth sports and at this level of play. Because if you don't know the truth now, you're almost never going to know it.
And I wonder if that has contributed to this culture where coaches have been driven out because of lack of playing time, winning, and the impact of AAU and how some folks get caught up about playing time. I've always said AAU is when you show out for the coach, for the scouts.
Right.
High school ball is about teamwork.
Exactly, because you don't see too many college coaches, especially in Minnesota, other than like the Hopkins teams. They usually come out for the AAU games, not so much as high school. I'm not sure if it's different in other states, but just from my own experience, most of my recruiting came from summertime.
And that makes sense. Scalia, oh, she's going after it. A couple of desperation drives there. You can tell she's frustrated. Cody makes a three-pointer.
Stillwater needed that. It seems like with all the shots that Stillwater has put up and with all the misses that they've had, I'm really surprised to see that this is still a 9-point game. It seems like it would be much larger than that.
It's still not over.
By a long shot, it's not over.
It doesn't feel that way right now, but you never know when that run is coming.
You know it's going to come though.
Well, if you're Woodbury, that's what you're afraid of.
Right. But that's why I go back to that. You don't want to play not to lose. You have to play to win all the time.
What a move by Higgs, and she'll shoot 2.
9 points may seem like a lot, and it may seem like a comfortable lead, but if I'm a coach, I'm telling my players, keep your foot on the gas, keep going hard, play until you have no more play left in you.
Second personal.
And Higgs missing the front end. That's the second personal on Rachel Rule.
Free throws, very important, especially now. It's only a 9-point game.
Indeed, free throws cost Park Center a chance to beat Wayzata earlier this season as Higgs blanks. Of course, Wayzata's out, and Park Center's moving on to the section final, so who's laughing now, right? I don't think the teams are thinking that way, but
right.
you get my point. Stillwater has not been within 7. Pratt.
Floater.
And no good. Nice hustle by Wagner, getting it off of Dodge to save possession.
And that's what Stillwater's going to need. They're down by 9. They still have a lot of time left, but they definitely need to get those 50-50 balls.
We saw it at the end of the first half and that first play to open this half. They picked up the pace, picked up the aggression, and it's been paying dividends. But the thing for Stillwater is, outside of Scally and Pratt, they don't have those speedsters, and we've got a timeout called by Woodbury as Stillwater turned it over 40-31. Woodbury inching closer and closer to moving on to that section final. Here's a look at the Cody 3. I can assure you there was no earthquake here in Hastings. So if you're Stillwater, what do you do here?
Well, Stillwater, I'm watching them play, and they're playing really hard. It's just hard for them to buy a basket. Woodbury is making them work for every single basket that they've gotten. And so if I'm Stillwater, I just have to stay aggressive. Eventually, the shots have to fall. Sarah Scalia, she can't get in her head. Keep shooting, get to the basket, get to the free throw line, and just keep chipping away at this lead. You can't trade bucket for bucket, though. They have to get a few stops.
Stillwater pressing, Woodbury breaks it. Amu Singh can't hit the floater. Woodbury may have gotten a piece of that as Pratt tried to hook up the Poole on the high-low, and however long Stillwater season continues in basketball, Willie Taylor told me wait until you see Pratt on the track team. Scalia, catch release. That usually works out for her, but not in this instance. Pratt will try. Bullseye.
Nothing but net. I didn't even see that go in.
I saw it go in. Took me a moment to register.
I just saw the net move.
More importantly, that gets Stillwater within 6. Woodbury breaks the press again, but Wagner got in there for the block. Is this the run the Ponies have been waiting for? Pratt drives and did not have a good angle there. You don't want to get too reckless here, and that's going to be the third on Houle. Stillwater with 2 to give now. 1, I should say.
Definitely don't want to get too reckless, but you definitely need to have a sense of urgency.
You got to play smart. And Woodbury, they're having some trouble finishing.
That's 3 stops in a row for Stillwater. Let's see if they can capitalize on that.
Cool, trying to hook up with Cody, and again, Stillwater, it seems like they're trying to rush it here.
Definitely have to settle down, get into their offense, execute. It's only a 6-point game. It's 9 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. You have to play smart here.
They're almost playing too fast. West collides with Wagner, and that will be the last foul to give for the Ponies.
Defensively, too, they have to stay sound. Next foul, and Woodbury is going to be in the bonus. So they have to make sure they play sound, hands-off defense, and continue to get stops.
Hussein looking to lob it, does. Woodbury will kick out. It's a 2-possession game as it stands right now. And Hussein at a tough angle. West with the O-board. She comes up short. And a dead ball rebound to the Ponies.
I'm starting to think the Royals are starting to sense the Stillwater Ponies coming. They just missed 2 bunnies right there. They got the rebound back, but those are baskets that you have to finish.
Scalia again, double team, needs help, finds Pratt for the reset. Pratt, wow! Carly West can't believe it, and neither can the Woodbury bench. Aiken Kirchenwitz trying to smile it off, but if you're a Woodbury fan, that's a tough call to take.
It is.
I'm not saying it's a bad call, but it's a tough
clean.
call. Right.
It looked clean. I guess the ball doesn't lie.
That's whenever they miss. But again, it's one of those, if you're Woodbury, like I said, that's a tough one to take. If you're Stillwater, of course, that's a foul, right?
You got to capitalize on it. That's the way the game goes.
Oh, and Pratt
missing both.
Pratt, 68% free throw shooter throughout the season. So both teams stuck. It's helping Woodbury, though. We've been stuck at 40-34 for a while. We see Taylor Brady on the floor. Woodbury throws it away again, but the Ponies have had trouble capitalizing off turnovers. It's one thing to force them, but points off turnovers, there's a reason that's a stat category on box scores.
Woodbury definitely has to settle down now if they want to win this game. They have to stay composed. The last 2 trips down the floor, it just seems like Stillwater has made them a little nervous. They're not doing the things that they were doing that got them up to this point, and so they just need to get back to that, settle down, everything's fine.
Pratt with the lob to Scalia. Sarah with 13 points. And she's been throwing up contested shots all day. Stillwater hustling, but once again, it seems like they're just rushing everything.
They can't buy a basket right now.
Well, they can't buy a basket, but at angles, it just doesn't seem like they're taking that moment you need to get yourself in position. And amidst all of this, they're still in this game.
Woodbury hasn't been able to hit shots.
Well, that's the thing. Woodbury hasn't done much either the last few possessions. Bakes. That would have been big for the Royals, but the carom goes to Dodge.
Stillwater's going to have to box out. Woodbury has gotten a few second chance opportunities on the offensive end.
Hussein, short on the 3. Jump ball, Woodbury with the arrow.
When it comes to rebounding, it seems that Woodbury is being a magnet to the ball. They've gotten their hands on almost every single rebound opportunity for the last 10 possessions.
Hustle plays. Big factor in the sport of basketball.
Another hand on the ball. Stillwater's not boxing out. They got to find a man, put a butt on him, and box him out.
What do you think is going on with Stillwater? Because this is uncharacteristic considering their performance over the last few games.
I think they're getting frustrated because things aren't falling on the offensive end, and they're forgetting to do the little things on defense, like box out, They're only down by 6 points, but you can't give Woodbury second and third chance opportunities to widen this lead.
You know, the Stillwater faithful came out in pretty good numbers today. Big bucket for Higgs.
Rachel Higgs finally stops the block for Woodbury.
Scalia. You wonder how this game would be different if she had made even a couple more three-pointers today.
One or two.
Yeah, just one three-pointer this entire game. And what has been Stillwater's best season in a long time is in danger of coming to an end here. They get out in transition and Scalia scores. 6-point game, 6 minutes to play.
Still a lot of time left on the floor for Stillwater.
Higgs to Dodge. Nice move to the rim.
Great take.
Scalia out on the floor. Taylor Brady hit a couple of big buckets in the win over Eastridge. And that's a foul on Brothers.
If I was Stillwater, I would try to get a few second chance opportunities as well.
And they've had difficulty doing that. And again, they are a team that relies on three-point shooting to get the job done. And sometimes the ebb and flow of that has an impact.
Definitely.
1-1 for Cassidy Matthews. She knocks the first one down. Doesn't score a whole lot for this team. But every point Woodbury can muster, it's been one step closer. Timeout, Woodbury. It would seem strange because they're up by 10 with 5:25, and they looked at being in control of this one. But
we're starting to reach prime time.
Coaches, they're gonna drop strategy until the last minute. As there's the replay. There's the breakaway bucket for Scalia. Now, I don't know what your success was in section play, but what was it like for you? You mentioned getting to the semifinals, so you got to play at the neutral courts, and you got a taste of what March Madness playoff basketball is at Minnesota. What's the same and what's different when you go from regular season play to single elimination?
The biggest thing is the things you were able to get away with during the regular season, you can't get away with that during sections. That's why teams are working the whole season to fine-tune those little discrepancies here and there, because they know come section time, come March, everything. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be playing at a certain level of play.
You don't have to be perfect, just good enough.
Exactly.
That's my motto. Because coaches, most coaches will tell you they're still looking for that perfect game. It never comes, of course.
You'll never have a perfect game.
No,
ever.
But you just have to be better than your opponent. But this game, if Woodbury hangs on for the victory, I think we're going to look back and it's going to be all those missed opportunities for Stillwater behind the three-point line. Because that is their identity, their fulcrum.
And you see a smile coming from the Woodbury coach. I think she's starting to sense a little bit of victory. We still have a lot of time left, though.
Still some time, but more free throws coming for Lizzie Dodge as Rachel Houle picks up her fourth. And whatever happens here, Willie Taylor is confident that this Stillwater team will be a contender next year in the Suburban East, because they're going to bring back Scalia, Alexis Pratt, and those two, they'll have a full season to play with each other.
Great take.
And Sarah Scalia is not ready to go home just yet. She's up to 17. And with the changes, Cretin-Durham Hall graduating a lot of seniors, the Suburban East in this section could look considerably different next year. That was a badly needed three-point play for the Ponies. And that cuts the deficit down to 7 with 4:42. So, like you said, still not out of it yet.
Stillwater just won't go away.
I think they called timeout. They have 2 left. Woodbury has 4 by my count. They don't have it up on the boards here. Now, what do you make of this facility? While we're at this timeout, I want to mention this in case we don't come back here. Hastings, it's a bit out of the way for this section, but it's a fine facility. Trent Hansen, the athletic director, told me, yeah, this place maybe isn't as robust as some others. And I'm looking at him like, are you kidding me?
Seriously, when I walked in, I was like, wow. I called you earlier when I got lost. The school itself is huge, especially considering high school. I went to Tartan, and our ceilings were never this high, especially in our gym. And this gym kind of reminds me of like Hopkins a little bit.
The Lindbergh Center? That's what I thought of as we look at that last play by Scalia. You know, Sarah does not have quit in her vocabulary. But you're right, this place reminds me of the Lindbergh Center. Those multi-purpose facilities. No, this is a fine facility for playoff basketball, and the 4-4A boys bracket will be held here as well. You and I, well, we'll have to see what happens, but you know, maybe we'll luck out Cretin-Durham Hall, the top seed in that section with Daniel Oturu. And I know you've been out of the loop for a while because you've been, you know, you had to grow up and get that college degree and be so successful. Why, Tia?
Life happens, Mike.
Well, hang on, we've got Lizzie Dodge. It's for all those reasons why I'm proud to call you a friend. Sarah Scalia with the steal. Stillwater not ready to go home, and that's going to be a block.
It's on the floor.
On the floor, that's the last give for the Raiders. I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought they might have called Scalia.
She did lower her shoulder a little bit.
I thought they were going to get Scalia for
the defense was still moving, though, so I think that's why that call might have went that way. Yep. So we're getting the block call coming through. The defensive player was still moving.
Right. And it's tough. That's why it's tough for the officials to do that, but you make a good point. Defender was still moving, and so that will go against Mackey. That's her 4th. Hastings or Woodbury out of fouls to give. So if Stillwater can get to the line, they might be able to cut into this deficit. Scalia. No good. Jump ball, Stillwater with the arrow. 4:06 remains.
Stillwater definitely senses that their season may be coming to an end. They're playing really hard right now. Scalia is getting a little more involved on the offensive end. She sees that her shot isn't falling, so she's trying to get to the basket more, and that's exactly what she needs.
Pratt in trouble. That's what you call a bailout. Pratt was in no woman's land, had nowhere to go, and she's going to the line.
I don't think that official really had the best angle to see that call.
Pratt knocks the first one down. I talked to her about, you know, having to play against taller opponents, much like you did, and she said you can't really be bothered by that. She credits her father, among other coaches, Willie Taylor, for getting Alexis to focus on her strengths.
Woodbury seems lost right now on the offensive end.
They do, but they still up by 6, and again, with no shot clock, they can use the element of time to their advantage.
You're exactly right.
And that's going to be a foul on Wagner. Mackey will go to the line for 2 more.
This is going to be really important for Woodbury. They're in the bonus. Stillwater's going to be a lot more aggressive than they have been this entire game. So when they do, they will get to the free throw line, but when they do get to the free throw line, they have to put the ball in the basket.
Mackey made both her last time up. As we get a look at Willie Taylor, wondering if Stillwater's dream season will come to an end. You know, 16-10 may not be the most impressive mark along the likes of Hopkins, Eastview, etc., but you've been under 500 up until this year, and you sense that you're on the verge of something. Whoa! Another miss for Scalia, and That's something Stillwater can ill afford here. They're getting after it now. Cody with the deflection. Scally gets it. And they're going to call the foul on West.
That was a late call.
Late, but
the right call nonetheless.
Right. How do you not call it? It came a little later, but yeah, you have to call that one.
Second personal.
Scalia makes the front end. And the second. She's an 84% free throw shooter, and I have to imagine being a part of the North Tartan AAU program, the same program that someone else I know was a part of. I've got a feeling, considering her junior season, another round of AAU, and with her hustle like that, college scouts are going to come calling. Stillwater trying to get that three ball to work. It's just not going.
Stillwater is playing balls out right now. They're going after every loose ball, every rebound. You see 3 or 4 players crashing, and they're getting their hand on almost every single ball.
But they need
press in 94 feet.
They have to now. Rachel Hicks doesn't care how much they press.
She did that all by herself. Only thing she didn't do was pass the ball in.
A dagger through the lane. Sarah Scalia with a quick answer. So Stillwater trading buckets here with Woodbury. They're hanging around, but they've got to find a way to get a stop to cut this margin. They have not gotten any closer than 6. They had a key opportunity midway through the second, but couldn't score. Hakes again. Will shoot 2.
Takes a hard foul right there as her teammates help her up. She was kind of quiet for a little bit before that last basket.
Well, this is clutch time now for those big names. Whether you're Rachel Hakes, as we take a look at, that's the 5th on Rachel Houle, so she's done. Houle will be going to college for volleyball, made the state tournament on the volleyball team for the Ponies. In fact, Stillwater, they've had a lot of success this year. Wrestling got to state. They were eliminated in consolation play. But Stillwater Gymnastics, as Hakes missed again. Oh boy. Stillwater Gymnastics won the 2A team title. So there's a lot to be proud of here at Stillwater, and whatever happens here, a lot to look forward to if you're a basketball fan.
These free throws are going to be really important for Woodbury. Before that made free throw, it was only a 2-possession game, so they have to make sure they keep making their free throws and keep getting stops.
Stillwater hasn't given them much of a reason to sweat yet, but still time. Nice back to the play.
Great execution.
Alexis Brett up to 11, and Hussain's going to give it a go. She looked a little
banged up.
You're right. She was wincing a bit on the bench in front of us here.
She's been playing through injury for the most part of this game. I think the coaches, they don't want to have to play her now, but they kind of have to. She brings a lot of size to Woodbury, rebounding, and she can score on the offensive end as well.
Here's another factor. Mackey picked up her 5th foul, so she's out of the game, and Woodbury with only a 6-player rotation. So Hussain has to go back in there. Foul on Stillwater.
And you have to wonder if that injury Hussain has right now had anything to do with that missed bunny right there. That should have been 2 points for Woodbury.
Rachel Hakes going to the line, though.
5th personal.
And that's the 5th on Wagner. As you know, you get 30 seconds to find a replacement. Willie Taylor, a Hall of Fame member in the Girls Basketball Coaches Association. We'll never forget those St. Paul Central super teams. I imagine you looked up to them quite a bit when you were making way up as
I always
the traveling
remember
teams.
the Angel Robinson era. Angel Robinson, Thierry Taylor, Ebony Black.
Kiara
That team was
Buford,
ridiculous.
and who could win a 3A state title at Cooper this year.
Wow.
They dispatched Orono easily. Cooper, the 1 seed in Section 6 3A. Higgs missing both. Woodbury missing a crucial opportunity there. The Ponies have a lifeline.
That's why you gotta love the game of basketball. She did not waste any time, played through the contact, finished the basket. She knows what's at stake here.
And just like that, it's a 1-possession game with 1:44 to go. Both teams in the double bonus.
Wow.
And Hakes picks up her 4th. Again, Woodbury with the 6-player rotation. The last thing they want is to have Hakes or anyone else foul out. Stillwater 10 of 14 from the line. Woodbury 12 of 20. Stillwater pressing again. Woodbury calls timeout. They had 3 remaining, I believe. They should have 2 now. 1:36 left. Like you said, the game of basketball, Stillwater was never really out of it.
Right. Missed free throws.
And just the way the flow was going, it looked like Woodbury might coast or just trudge their way to victory, but those missed free throws and then Scalia driving that 3-point play, who knows how big that could be.
Very big.
Here's a look from the backside of it, and Sarah Scalia will attack. It's amazing what she has done this year, and I can't wait to see what she'll do next year.
As a senior.
Who knows? Maybe she'll lead the state in scoring. Maybe she'll join you along the likes of 1,000-point scores.
You never know. I mean, you should always want to be the best version of yourself as a player, as a person, and anything that you do. So if you want to score 1,000 points in the season, why not?
Now, what do you do with the Stillwater here? Woodbury can hang on to the ball, both teams in the double bonus.
This possession is going to be really important for both teams. If you're Woodbury, you have to score here, or at least get to the free throw line and get some type of points. If you're Stillwater, you have to get this stop. This is a crucial possession.
Stillwater looking for a steal if they can help it. Amu Singh, yes!
This is very crucial. So now, 2-possession game. Woodbury can breathe a little bit. Okay. Stillwater still has the ball. Now Stillwater has to come
dangerous.
back.
That was close. And we've seen this so many times in Stillwater's losses this year. They struggle, they get a late surge, but it comes a little too late. That happened in the first meeting with Cretan-Durham Hall. That happened with Roseville in the first meeting there. And it may happen here in the third meeting with Woodbury, but they can't find a way to come back from 4 down. They want that 3. Pratt missing. Rebound Cody. Jump ball, Stillwater with the arrow, but 53.6 left. They're running out of time.
You can definitely sense the urgency. Stillwater has the ball though, so they can cut this lead down here.
Stillwater did not have possession, so no backcourt violation. Time running out, 45 seconds. Nobody able to get open.
Woodbury is all over the place. Great hustle.
That might do it. No, I guess not. Lexi Paulson couldn't put on the brakes, called for traveling, but 33 seconds on the clock. Another timeout for Stillwater. You gotta find a way to score.
Quickly. It's a 2-possession game right now.
So no complex analysis needed there.
Stillwater's gonna have to come out this break, execute. I know Coach Taylor is writing up a play right now. They have to score very quick. They don't need, this is where the shot clock comes into play. Not having the shot clock comes into play, because I was gonna say they could play it out if they score pretty quick, but they actually can't. So I'm quite sure Woodbury's gonna try to stall once they do get the ball back. Stillwater's gonna have to foul right away. Probably they're going to have to foul Rachel Hakes. She's been shooting very poorly today from the free throw line, and hope she misses, but they do have to score quickly on this possession.
And if Woodbury is able to hang on, how big would this win be for a team that had to bounce back after losing a huge senior class a year ago?
Oh, it's very big. Like I said earlier, when you lose seniors, it's really hard to find new leadership. Not really finding the players, but players that are willing to do it. Not everyone wants to take a leadership role.
And remember, Woodbury beat Cretin-Durham Hall to end the regular season, so you get past Stillwater, you just might have that feeling that you can make your way in. Right. Cody.
They needed that.
Grace Cody, the freshman we talked about her growth. She's made some big buckets here. And whether Stillwater season goes on or ends tonight, Grace Cody is going to be a player to watch next season for the Ponies. 53-52 and 20 seconds remains.
That was a huge, huge shot. They needed that basket. They got the basket that they wanted to. Really, they could have gone for 2, but 3 is even better. Now they're only down by 1 point. They get a stop here. Well, they're going to have to foul because there's no shot clock.
Right.
So
if you can't get the steal, you'll have to foul, but at the very least, prevent Woodbury from making it a 2-possession game at the line. That's how big the three-pointer is.
Exactly.
But as we've seen, nothing is certain here. You know, Woodbury, they've got to get the inbound in. They've got to play smart. This is far from over. You never know.
And Stillwater's still down. So if they do end up getting a turnover and get the steal that they want, they have to score.
20.7 on the clock. Stillwater elects not to defend Hussein. If you can't get a turnover here, you need a quick foul.
Oh, wow.
Brady tried to time the pass, but she knocked over Paulson.
I couldn't get a good look at that. Hopefully they show a replay, but that's a big call. Especially if she goes on to make these free throws here.
Paulson, maybe sold it a little bit, but when you're reaching over like that, it's tough. You're not putting yourself in a favorable position.
Okay.
At least from my vantage point. Here's Paulson, though, missing the front end. And Paulson is another one of those role players who doesn't score that much. She left the door open with that first miss. And the second. Stillwater has the rebound. Now they got to bring it up. That was close to a travel. Cody's in trouble. Wow. And I don't know if Stillwater had any timeouts left.
I don't think they did. Because if they did, I'm sure Coach Taylor would have been all over it. Unless he was trying to call a timeout. It's so loud in this gym, maybe the refs didn't hear.
So Dodge will shoot more free throws. That might have been Stillwater's best hope. Or not.
So time.
Like you said, though, they've got to find a way to score no matter what happens here.
If Woodbury loses this game, they're going to be really hurt. Because, like I said earlier in the game, it comes down to free throws. You have to make these.
Well, they're still up by 1. That's the important thing. Dodge makes the second. A 2 will tie, a 3 will win it.
Here we go.
Scalia. Amber. They got to get it off. They will not.
Oh,
no. Stillwater season comes to an end. Woodbury wins 54-52.
Stillwater comes up just short.
And give credit to the Royals. As I see a sign that says 1, 2. I couldn't make it out, but give credit to the Royals. They held up on defense in those last 8.5 seconds. As you see on the replay, did not allow anyone to get open. And Woodbury, who had been trounced by Stillwater in the regular season, will move on to the section final on Thursday, where they'll face Tartan or Cretin-Durham Hall. It's a shame to see Stillwater season end this way, Again, if they made a couple more threes, different story, but how about this Woodbury team?
As I said, third time's a charm. Stillwater swept them during the regular season twice. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, Mike. And as you can see, that's what happened here tonight.
And it's a shame for Stillwater season to end this way. Looking forward, what do you expect out of that?
Out of Stillwater, well, they got to go back to the drawing board. They still bring back at least their star players, almost everyone. They definitely have to remember this loss. You definitely don't want to hold on to it, but just remember it. So when you're back in this moment next year, you internalize that, and then you come to play next time.
Thank you for watching the Section 4 4A semifinals. Woodbury moving on with a 2-point win over Stillwater.